Okay, well, it's funny over here. There's a particular newspaper that is. I got it somewhere in Chinatown or something a year or two ago, and by hell, if it isn't a Chinese government mouthpiece, I don't know what it wasn't. They were claiming that Australia is unfair by not removing every single tariff in existence. Yet, as you probably heard from Trump, and it is the case, Chinese have tariffs on stuff bought in, particularly made-up products bought in, but not so much raw commodities. The strange thing is that all our copper piping, regardless of the fact that copper is mined here in quite decent amounts, and even more so in Papua New Guinea and Indonesia, regardless of that, we don't smelt any copper pipes here. They're all smelted in China. 100% smelted in China. And, well, most of China's steel comes from Brazil and Australia. And, of course, they have enough of their own iron ore in Manchuria as well, which is their bloody big province with a lot of desert and a lot of coal and a lot of iron ore. Anyway, it appears we may be putting import duties on Chinese steel. And so we should. There's a particular one we've got, Port Kembla, I think it is. They're down to about 1/3 of their original capacity. And there was talk a couple of weeks ago of that almost folding in and closing altogether. So anyway, let's see what we have here. There's also there's a lot of iron ore in Western Australia and, believe it or not, heaps in South Australia as well. And a lot of coal in New South Wales. Western Australia mines just about everything you can friggin' name. Import duties will be imposed on unfairly priced Chinese steel products by the federal government in a bid to help the embattled South Australian steelmaker Arium remain competitive. Holy smoke, you can't see it, but just under the picture there, it says import duties of up to 53% will be imposed on some Chinese steel products. Having said that, Chinese boss used to get wire for the vineyard, and it was something like 1/8 the fucking cost. Now, it wasn't by the metre, it was by the kilo, but, you know, in that you might, you know, some lengths would be 10 metres more than the other, whatever, you know, it's not too much of a out of whack. By buying it by weight, but honestly, he was getting it for about 1/8 the cost of what he could have got it for in Australia. And of course, he was, you know, getting it probably at wholesale prices because he bought over half a shipping container of the shit, as opposed to retail prices. And there's enough of a jump between wholesale and retail, let alone going direct to the Chinese manufacturer, as he did. Yeah. Anyway. Blah blah blah. Between 37 and 53% of the export price would apply to rod end coil, and between 11 to 30% on reinforcing bar. Rod end coil is another way of probably saying wires of different thickness. Move is intended to drive down oversupply of Chinese steel and is based on recommendations by the Anti-Dumping Commission. You may have heard of product dumping, a lot of cheap Chinese shit, especially stuff that is rejected by the people who originally ordered it for lack of quality, will then be dumped on the market for peanuts, and it then is basically slightly below cost and below the cost of manufacture price, and yeah, bit cheap. Oh God, it's involuntary administration with debts of $4 billion. And workers at the company's Whyalla Steelworks, which are a bloody big steelworks, are facing an uncertain future. This may be the one they're whinging about, not the Port Kembla one that I saw a couple of a week or so back because I only saw the headlines of it. Obviously, we have relatively high production costs. China is relatively low, and they have been potentially unfairly pricing their steel in Australia because of extra support from their government. Yeah, working to sustain the local steel industry while acting within World Trade Organization rules. Duties would apply April the 22nd. Blah blah blah, union whinging. We have 44 anti-dumping measures in place that apply to 12 steel products from 14 countries. The union said the new duties do not breach Australia's obligations under its free trade agreement with China. Yes, we have a partial free trade agreement with China, so it appears. I knew they were trying to push for one, and I don't think they quite got the one they wanted. Agriculture became a bit of a sticky point because some of the wheat farmers and all that wanted to export their wheat tariff-free to China, but at the same time it was hurting the stone fruit industry quite badly and has damaged the peaches and apricots and that industry quite badly. Although the grain producers and I think the beef producers were trying to, so it was a real bit of a touchy point in regards to the exact writings of how the agriculture part went. And a lot of people, unions, hated the idea because they said they'd just finish all the jobs in this country, pretty quickly if we had a complete free trade agreement with China, because they subsidise the shit out of them all. And not just that, they do a lot of things at cost price, and where they make their profits is by material substitution and making things below the quality that you originally wanted it built at. Apparently, we have a 10-month high in iron ore prices. Anyway, waffled on long enough. There you go.